Jim Cornette is bona fide WWE propaganda now. And it's a problem because you listen to his podcasts, which I have listened to for many years, because you want to see what he actually thinks about the modern product. You want to see him critique matches, and you want his honest opinion about what's going on in the wrestling world. But he's WWE propaganda now. And it's even worse because AEW is also a promotion that is running at the same time. And, you can... All right, take this as an example. Chris Jericho is in AEW, and Jim Cornette has not really had anything positive to say about Chris Jericho for maybe 4 or 5 years because Chris Jericho is in AEW. But the second there becomes to have rumors that Chris Jericho might return to WWE, Jim Cornette is suddenly, he softens up on him a little bit. Suddenly Jim Cornette is a little bit more open to Chris Jericho and less likely to criticize him. So you can have, an AEW show, which is better than a WWE show, but Jim Cornette will put over and praise the WWE show, and he will bury or disparage the AEW show because he doesn't, he's like CNN or MSNBC when it comes to Trump. He will just find anything negative to say about the one and do actual damage to AEW's business. And on the other hand, he will find anything gleaming and glowing to say about WWE. And it's starting to even bother his partner in his podcasts, Brian Last, because Brian Last has to know that some of the stuff that Cornette is praising, Cornette is not praising it because he actually likes it, but Cornette has some kind of footing in the WWE system, some sort of relationship with them, which causes him to never criticize the modern product. And it's not like he's one of these happy-go-lucky people like Dutch Mantel, who, he kind of just likes everything, or some of the other podcasters, maybe Mac Davis a little bit. It's not like Jim Cornette's like that, so he praises WWE. He's as nasty can be when it comes to AEW and people he doesn't like such as Trump. But then he will. It's almost like he has what's that called when you like bipolar disorder. He is so loving of anything WWE does, and he's so hateful of anything AEW does. It's almost like he's being paid off by WWE to criticize AEW because that will be good for WWE's business. And it's really sad because as time goes on and the WWE product gets less creative, as time goes on as the WWE product gets less imaginative, as more people like Cena retire and Orton get older, and the new stars coming up are Nepo babies like Braun Breaker or Dominic Mysterio, the WWE product is getting worse as time goes on. But Cornette's praise is staying at a high level, and Brian Last is starting to feel the fire, feel the heat of it a little bit. And Jim Cornette is not all bad. He has some uses, like the way he criticizes AEW. That's good because a lot of the times these AEW stars, they get too full of themselves, but they're not really anything special. So Cornette's criticism is helpful in instilling some modesty and humbleness into the AEW roster and independent wrestlers overall. And Jim Cornette's show is also very funny sometimes. I used to only listen to his criticism of AEW and not even watch his WWE stuff because it's so funny when they make fun of Excalibur or when they make fun of Jon Moxley. But at the same time, he discredits all of his AEW opinions because the way that he praises WWE. And it's almost like, as a listener, you're being deceived. Like, you trust that what he's telling you is the truth, and then that trust which you have in him affects your worldview of wrestling and broader politics and entertainment. But he's not being completely honest with you. And Brian Last is scared to speak up against Jim Cornette because on one of Jim Cornette's shows one time, maybe like 2 years ago, he said, oh yeah, and Brian, they were looking at an argument between Meltzer and Alvarez. And Jim Cornette said, oh yeah, Brian, if we argued like that, you'd be out of here and I'd get somebody that agrees with me. So Brian Last is afraid to disagree with Jim Cornette. But at the same time, Cornette is one of these wrestling people, and a lot of them, because they're not studious people, as they grow older, their mind becomes less generative of of new material. So as time goes on, Cornette is getting more and more stale, but all he has to do is begin to treat honestly the WWE product, and he can still do what he wants with AEW, but just treat honestly the WWE product, because it's all entrances, it's all sing-alongs, and even part of Jim Cornette's shows now, if you look at his WrestleMania review of the Triple Threat match or something, he's like singing Seth Rollins' song. He has no substantial criticism or analysis of the match. It's, he doesn't say like, he doesn't say that, Rollins, Punk, and Reigns, they hit each other with every move possible. Spear, curb stomp, GTS, this, that. And then a nutshot from a 60-year-old Paul Heyman is supposed to like keep these people grounded and turn the tide of the match. Jim Cornette, he doesn't mention that at all, but at the same time, he will say anything which he doesn't think makes sense about AEW. Like, this finish should have happened that way. So it's so disingenuous, and I hope that Brian Last can bring some perspective to Jim Cornette, because I know people will continue to listen to Cornette, but a few years ago, if you would have been a member of the cult of Cornette, you would have been taken more seriously. But now, seeing how your cult leader is becoming just a sniveling WWE propagandist, seeing what your leader is becoming, it makes you less respectable in the eyes of people who used to like Jim Cornette.